I just finished WWE Unreal episode 5 titled WrestleMania. So this goes through the WrestleMania storylines. This goes through, a lot that we saw leading up. But the main takeaway to me were two things. And so we're really going to focus because it was the longest episode. It was certainly overarching, discussing many things. But there were a few takeaways that I really want to hone in on and look at. And actually, there's three of them. So we'll start with the first one, which was Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair. Now, the thing that is made very clear, right, is that this is not something that WWE wanted in terms of the kind of off script comment from Tiffany Stratton about Charlotte Flair, and that this did cause some problems backstage. But the beauty of it was after the WrestleMania match that went out and it was just, a phenomenal match, they seemed to have made up. So hopefully that's something that isn't just, a one-time thing. Hopefully now, their relationship can grow from this and everybody's like, all right, we're at a good spot. So that was the first thing that I thought was quite interesting. And I love that they included it in, this series because it shows us the truth of what went down, right? In that pretty clearly it looks like it was Tiffany Stratton that took the brunt of the criticism over everything we've seen. When I think when the initial reports came out, it felt a little bit more like people were blaming Charlotte Flair for some of this stuff, but it looked like it was more focused on Tiffany Stratton for sure. The second thing was the questioning of Jey Uso, and this was another really interesting, development that we, look from the outside, you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and we now know that there were doubts regarding Jey Uso, right? That his ability to deliver at the level needed, and it wasn't because they didn't believe in him, it's because they felt, is this moment too big? And that to see them go from that, and they showed some of the botches and some of the mistakes, to him delivering in such a big way was such a powerful, powerful, powerful moment, right? To see how they were able to deal with it. And it's just a reminder that this is a business, right? That this is something where if Jey Uso didn't show up, right? If he didn't do what, they needed him to do and deliver in that way, he was gonna be cut out of that, right? He was not going to get the push that he had coming for him. Luckily, Jey Uso delivered, and the rest is history. Now, the final thing that I want to focus in on, and this is something that really spoke to me because we made this point on this channel multiple times, is Triple H talked about Cody Rhodes and John Cena, right? And the crazy part about that match is that it was like so anticlimactic, and it's one of the more controversial kind of endings because everybody saw how good the night before ended with that triple threat match. And we were just so ready to like have that moment like we had between Roman and Cody where the Undertaker shows up. And I'm not saying we wanted the Undertaker to show up in this case, but that powerful of a moment to have this ending and then Cena wins the belt. We were looking so forward to having that moment. And Travis Scott comes out. There just wasn't a lot of love for the ending of that match. And to hear Triple H kind of acknowledge that and to say, look, we knew this was never going to be the match that the, triple threat match was, and it wasn't supposed to be. It at the very least kind of made me like the match a lot more and to understand that WWE viewed that as kind of the beginning of a feud and not really the end. And to understand that, they're not completely detached from how everyday wrestling fans are seeing this, right? They understood that. They just thought, look, the whole point of this is to get Cena the belt, to have him make history, and then we can continue to build off that. And so I can't be too mad about it, to be completely honest. I'm a lot less mad now than I was at the end of WrestleMania because I liked the match. It wasn't that the match was bad. It's just you just felt like, man, we wish there was more here, right? I mean, Travis Scott coming out was just not enough. If The Rock came out, that would have been enough, but I still feel they could have done a better job, and I feel like they could have done what was needed to, make that match at least a little bit better. But to see Triple H at least acknowledge, like, yeah, that's the best this match was going to be because of, how the storyline is going, and that our real big main event from that WrestleMania was the day one main event, have no problem with it overall. So that's episode 5. I really like this series. My only thing I would like to see moving forward that they do with it is give us even more behind the scenes. Like I feel like this was more just like produced WWE content. You know, it didn't feel like, yeah, we're in the writer's room of WWE. There were moments where it felt like that, but on a whole, it was just like, okay, this is how the wrestlers behind the scenes are feeling about this. So I don't know. I just feel like if they could go even further in depth on the actual process and all of that stuff, I would really like it. But my guess is, you know, they don't want to have too much controversial stuff in here because they don't want to cause, you know, all these articles and all this stuff about actual problems behind the scenes. So maybe that's why we're really just getting a heavily produced product in this. So thank you all for watching.